Yes, hello. I am James Rowan. Today it's WNR589. It's Wrestle Kingdom. I'm alone. I have a pleasure to be joined up first. Up. I'm not used to it doing it this way, but I'm going to make it work. It is our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, and of course, honorary House of Torture member. It is Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing great. Excited. We're here talking about Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know. I got mixed emotions in general right now when it comes to New Japan as a whole. So I'm excited to see what this podcast will turn into because that's still up in the air. It could be very positive, or this could be very angry, or this could be a tearful episode. So who knows?
And of course, let's not forget, last but by no means least, I can't lie. No more of your darkness. All my pictures seem to fade to black and white. I'm growing tired, and time stands still before me, frozen here on the ladder of my life. Too late to save myself from falling. I took a chance and changed the way of life, but you misread my meaning when I met you. Close the door and left me blinded by the light. Don't let the sun go down on me. Although I search myself, it's always someone else I see. But losing everything is like the sun going down on me. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. It's Gina. How's it going, Gina?
Woo, hello, hello. I'm looking forward to doing Wrestle Kingdom reviews today. And thank you for the lovely song, James. Might I suggest an anime song next time? I'm so looking forward to hearing you sing in Japanese.
Well, the thing is, I've been singing K-pop punters to my niece, so maybe I have to bring that over here. But that was a pretty long song. But I'm glad you're here. And like I said, we have quite the show. We've got Wrestle Kingdom, and of course, we're saying goodbye to Hiroshi Tanahashi. But let's catch up with New Japan. Of course, when we have last left it, Okada had just made his return to fight the Ace at the Dome. Well, after that, we had the start of the tag league, and much like the previous year's tag league, there was some strange combinations, to say the least. I got to admit, I really like Shingo and Driller. I think they were my favourite team, but I had some moments during this tournament as well. Finley throwing around Takahashi is still a thing and is still hilarious, and Callum Newman has been in a foul mood and targeted Finley. Both teams will face off at Wrestle Kingdom. Monty, I'll get your thoughts on the tag league, but I'd told you for a while there's something about Callum Newman I've not liked, but he's kind of drilled down into it, and he's got a target on Finley's back because of it.
Yeah, I think the funny thing about it is I'm not saying he was doing it on purpose the entire time, but you think about kind of like the little shit kind of story that he's kind of you know the little shit character that he kind of has developed fit perfectly to the vibe he was already kind of giving off. And I think the cool thing about it is, like you mentioned, it does seem to be playing into like a lot of different things. And like I'm the same way. I always try to give myself a little bit of grace, a little bit of time when it comes to newer characters in New Japan, especially foreigners, because you never know how long they're like how long or how legit their run is supposed to be. And Newman kind of at first, and I think some of it wasn't his fault, but like of course you immediately start thinking, oh, okay, he's gonna be the Will Ospreay, and they don't really know how any other way to kind of present him other than Will's young guy who's now taking over the empire. But I think now as he's kind of developed this attitude to him, it has done him wonders in a sense, in my opinion. And it has me a little bit more excited for maybe the future of the United Empire with a guy like him possibly leading the way. But yeah, it's gradual. But I do think he's gotten a lot better, and his improvement was showcased a little bit during World Tag League too. It's been a slow burn, but I definitely can see more of the vision now.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. Well, Zack Sabre Jr. and I were down Bisherman in the semi-finals of the tag league. Gabe and Suji were just holding it together, and they have become the tag champs, the Knockout Brothers. Now, Gina I mean, the Knockout Brothers have been great, and Suji and Gabe is a really weird team. I know it's the unaffiliated and that, but he's seeing those two together and seeing them become like successful, like I said, to get into the final, I think was a little bit of a surprise.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was quite a random tag team, Suji and Gabe, because I don't know if it's because I'm not a regular watcher. I was like, did they have something before and this is a rekindling, or is this just a randomly matched group? But it worked for some reason. I don't know if I'm just biased because I really like Suji, so I'll just like anything he does. But yeah, it just seemed random, but it worked.
Yeah, well, the final was set and it was won by TMDK. Zach has won all three of the heavyweight tournaments now with this, the Tag League, the G1, and the New Japan Cup. Monty, do you know who the other two people were who won all three? I don't know if it's like a big thing, but I thought it's quite an interesting fact.
Won Tag League and New Japan Cup
And the G1.
and the G1. Not off the top of my head, I would have to look that up to be honest. I'm
Yeah.
assuming I'm assuming it's a tandem with Tanahashi included, but to be honest, it's it's definitely escaping me who could even be. That's a good one. That's a good little fact.
Yeah.
I had to look that up. Good little trivia.
I'm going to let you know. It's Hiroki Goto and Naito. They are the other two. Again, it's just,
Naito.
I know,
Naito
he's the
makes
man,
it.
isn't he? Yeah.
I didn't. It's the tag league that was throwing me off with Naito. I knew he had everything. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Exactly. And incredibly as well, TMDK have now won all five tournaments in 3 years. So, I mean, Gina, this is the thing about TMDK. I was like, oh, they're not that great, but they have won everything in the past 3 years. Maybe we just haven't noticed how successful they've been.
Yeah, that's when you say it like that, again, I wouldn't look at TMDK and think that they've got something like that behind them. And the fact that they do, you're kind of like they should be seen more formidable, to be honest,
Yeah,
than they are.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, very successful. Also on the card was Yo Masuato and Toriano beating Sanada and Narita and Evil to retain the Never Openweight Six-Man Tag Team Championships. And then we had the Road 2 shows, which obviously with New Japan, it is not weekly television, but you have got the Road 2, which was Wrestle Kingdom, and everyone not booked wanted a six-man tag team matchup. Newman was a bigger prick than ever during this
Mhm.
tour. My opinion is changing. You know, I love a prick, Monty, and Newman, I'm just like, eh. Tanahashi have three final matches before the Dome on the Road 2 shows. The first was Romu Takahashi for the first and last time. Ace won a fun match, but did forget which city he was in, which I did find hilarious. But again, this is a crazy thing, Monty, because I look at Takahashi, not maybe on the level of a Tanahashi, but I know he's achieved quite a lot. And to think it was their first time, and it just reminds me the separation between heavyweights and juniors, if you know what I mean, which is something that we don't talk about all the time.
Yeah, it's one of those underlying things of like just kind of I don't want to say old school, but it's one of those things that is still very present in New Japan. That it can be it's been frustrating, especially for me for a guy like Hiromu because I feel like he's done everything he can do as a junior. So if he ever was to do anything else under the New Japan banner. I mean, even a guy like Kushida kind of ran into this to where he did everything. He was a multiple time Super Junior heavyweight. He's the ace of the junior heavyweight for the longest. And we all know Hiromu at this point is the ace of the juniors for the longest. And like to have him finally be able to go against Tanahashi, because a lot of time when Tanahashi, for example, when Tanahashi probably was the champion, the way it would work out would be probably with Kushida most likely, because
Mm.
Kushida would be the junior heavyweight champion. Oftentimes, when the anniversary show would pop up, if they had the opportunity to go against each other, that's usually how it would turn out. And the same thing can be said. And then like usually when Hiromu was on top, it was somebody else like Okada, or because they fought, but Tanahashi. It's just like they kind of dodged each other in a sense, but again, it was great to see them go against each other, like master student type of fight, which again has kind of been a nice little underlying theme of a lot of Tanahashi's matches with a lot of the talent, and it was cool to kind of look at Hiromu in that light again. And I thought he even put out the Rainmaker. So like I mean like Hiromu really did a lot of like to kind of dredge up those memories. Another great moment and match in my opinion on Tanahashi's tour that kind of dredged up those memories of an era that seemed like that we seem like we're moving past. But yeah, man, it's one of those things. Like you said, it's a line that's kind of drawn there when it comes to heavyweights and juniors that we don't really think about, but it is definitely still kind of the thing in New Japan to where you kind of have I don't want to say glass ceiling because I still look at Hiromu as like one of the most important and one of the biggest figures in New Japan, but I do think we all kind of acknowledge that it's not really the same as it would be when you look at like the leveling or when we think about Hiromu versus like a Hiroshi Tanahashi. But yeah, man, this is really really cool.
Yeah, right. And Gina, again, I just want to mention we talk about obviously comparison with John Cena and how his kind of retirement tour went. Tanahashi's got the biggest match and last match of his career, obviously against Okada. Instead of taking it easy, he's taken on three opponents basically, and he's not taking it easy in it either. Do you know what I mean? Like the guy is a legend.
He really is. He literally said, if I'm going out, I'm going out with all the top dogs. I'm not going with any of the lowers. I'm going full blown ahead, and I got respect for that. He wants to show that he's got it in him to do these big matches. He doesn't want an easy way out. He wants to make it difficult, and he wants to prove of what his legacy led him to get to at this point, which is really respectful.
Yeah, without a doubt. On night two, Tanahashi faced El Desperado. The Ace won another fun match with Desperado playing heel. But again, Monty, it's another show of respect because Despy, obviously not the career Tanahashi has had, but they are two veterans who, as you just talked about, the junior heavyweight division as well, have accomplished basically everything in the company.
Yeah, and I think the funny thing is when you think about the three, you got Hiromu because who could be looked at as like maybe an ace of the juniors of the past, and then you have again Desperado who even though he's not the champ currently, he is I think everybody can notice and agree that he is the number one drawing and most important junior heavyweight kind of the time right now and with everything he's done and being a freelancer and all the death matches and stuff like that. And then I think the next match is gonna be against like a Fujita, which is like the future, junior of the future. So again, it's a theme here with all three of these matches, and this is another good one. And I think that's kind of like what I like the most about it is that this late in Tanahashi's career, he was okay with trying to have a different match for each of these matches. Like not just going against the guy of the future and just putting them through the same, you know, telling the same story that we've all seen before. He fought these different guys, and he had the he still was able to kind of like tell a story that kind of took you down memory lane with Hiromu, and then you got this match that was very vicious, very physical because that's Despy's style. Despy, like I said, a death match type of guy, very physical guy. So for him to be able to do that and have a very good physical performance in the ring with Desperado with Tanahashi at this stage of his career, and Desperado not being like Hiromu. Yeah, it was respect there, but Hiromu, of course, is like popular, much more of a babyface. Despy fought this match like he really was trying to hurt and really in his typical desperate or like heel role, and that's what I like the most about this one is that again, even this late in his career, so close to Wrestle Kingdom, like you point out, Tanahashi was fine with not just phoning it in and giving three guys three of the same story. No, we're gonna go and we're gonna wrestle your style, and I'm gonna show you that even at this stage in my career, I can wrestle your style of match, and it ended up making the match better overall because of it. So yeah, man, this is also another very good showcase, and in the same vein as the Harambe match, but again, a lot different and like you targeted a leg, physical. So yeah, man, it was really cool to see this point of view too.
Yeah, it's really good. On night three, ELP defended TV title versus Taguchi. Chris Brooks from DDT attacked the champ afterwards. And we also found out Andrade will help the United Empire in 10-man tag action. I mean, Gina, Andrade shows his face. You know, I was like, wow, I did not think that was coming.
Yeah, this totally threw me off. I mean, I'm not a pro when it comes to knowing about how contracts work for wrestlers, but I thought Andrade would be under a contract, so he wouldn't be able to show his face. There was a lot of controversy with the AEW, or I don't know if it even happened at this point. The timelines have just differed. But regardless, I was just so confused. When I first saw him, I was like, is he allowed to be here? Thinking he's some naughty child being let out by his mom. It really threw me because I've just not seen him in the New Japan scene. So I thought, is this permanent? Is this just a one-off? But I was intrigued to see how he would mesh in with the New Japan guys. So I wasn't intrigued by it and interested to see the match.
Yeah, and as well, I can say I still don't know what Andrade's going to do. You know, so but fair play. You know, he looks motivated at this moment in time. But night three was all about Tanahashi and his final match in Kurikan Hole. The Ace has stepped in the ring nearly 500 times here in his lengthy career, and he took on 20-year-old Koji Fujita. It was an emotional. Obviously, the Ace won, but it was an emotional post-match for Tanahashi, who bid farewell to legendary wrestling venue and a sold-out crowd who came to see him. He gave a lengthy speech, and he spent a significant amount of time greeting fans at ringside, accepting a bouquet of flowers from the ringside attendee as well. And Monty, again, it's. I'm going to say this so many times on this pod here tonight, but it was just pure emotion, and obviously more for you because you've seen more of Tanahashi's journey and also the relationship he's had in the Korakuen Hall, which is kind of legendary in his career, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's the home base. It's also where a lot of people we've seen come and go have made their debut. A lot of young lions have been trained, in my opinion, not in my opinion, but obviously have been trained and debuted here in this particular situation at this place. So it's like it's one of those things, like you mentioned, that just means so much, not to just the people of not just the people of New Japan, but like around the world. Like you said, it's famous. Even like it's funny because like even like WWE, for example, in their wrestling games have like little phone. They don't call it Kurikan Hall, but when they talk about Japan on the wrestling game, the little small arena that's not the big arena is usually based off Kurikan because it's famous and every Japanese promotion runs shows there. It doesn't matter if you're watching Noah, if you're watching whoever you're watching, Dragon Gate, they will run a show, Stardom, they will run show and do stuff in Kurikan Hall. So it really is the home base of not just New Japan, but the home base of just professional wrestling in Japan. So again, you can only imagine what it probably meant to not only those people who go there all the time, but even the people even those people who may not get a chance to be at every show, but they've seen over the years different guys come in, and since 2003 at the least, because that's not to talk about when he was a trainee or before that, but since he debuted in '03, Tanahashi has been one of those constants. So for 20 plus years, 23 years to be exact, almost at this point, you've seen this guy come into his own, become the guy. You've seen him age into where he is now, and then now you have to bid him farewell. And then again, like I said, he got a chance to fight the future of the business in a sense, and a guy like Fujita, Kosei Fujita, whose story is just kind of starting. And I think this is really cool. I mean, again, I think to see him in this spot, like you mentioned, meant a lot because you could tell how much it means to him and just like everybody else there. And like you said, it's the stuff, the people we don't see, the people who don't get talked about, who really also who work hand in hand with a guy like Tanahashi over the years. Those are the people who I know, who can only just like I can only imagine how they felt to watch this particular moment because of again just how much Tanahashi means to the business and like New Japan obviously, but just how much he has meant to that place over the years. So yeah, man. Again, uh, this was just incredible. I don't think you can really. I don't even know how to describe it because, like WWE, for example, if again we've been making the comparison to Cena because of not only the timing but their career tracks and all of that, and all of that is fine and dandy. But again, it's certain things about this to where it's just like that's unmatched, and I don't think we'll ever see a particular place, because of how WWE do their show. Maybe you can do it in AEW. Maybe you can make the Young Bucks or whatever. Maybe they can be emotional the last time they had Daly's place or something. Maybe you could try to look at it that way, and maybe a Kenny Omega or whatever will get emotional the next time they're in Jacksonville. But other than that, you don't really got that in wrestling because they're consistently on the road. Like you kind of got their hometown. Like maybe you can compare this to Cena in Boston. But yeah, man, it's a different emotion, different feeling. And yeah, man, it meant a lot. And I think it's really cool that he chose this place to do this last match, a match that I know sold out Kurikan Hall. I'm pretty sure it's mad cool for Fuji to be like that. I got a chance to fight the Ace in his last match at Kurikan Hall, and that can, again, like I said, kind of alley hoop Fuji towards his future for the next however many years he decides to do this. So yeah, man, everything about these last few shows were made the heart heavy in a sense, just because you knew that you had to savor whatever you were watching because this was gonna be the last time you saw Tanahashi do this.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, another great point with Tanahashi and what he's done is, people might ask why have he picked these guys, but he wanted to face everybody basically on the New Japan roster, and got through, even when the young lions and stuff like that got through basically everybody, and the numbers don't lie. And we talk about the World Tag League, the final, these Road 2 shows, and of course Wrestle Kingdom itself, all sold out. So, the people are definitely there for him, and all that's left for Tanahashi to do is to have his retirement match against Okada. So let's go on with it then. January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 20. Walker Stewart and Chris Charlton are here to guide us. And it's something we haven't seen on this pod, a sold out Tokyo Dome. But Gene, I was going to say, it's a bit, I don't say annoying for New Japan, but they don't like it the same as WWE. So it's still pretty, I'm sure there's fans there, but then we're not seeing everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I think because we're more familiar with Americans and WWE, that it still feels new. It still feels fresh. And so when we do th see things like that, we're like, is this normal or is this, yeah, we just go with the flow.
Yeah, they're not making a big deal of it. And then we get the kickoff match, which is Katsuyori Mishimima and Masato Yasuda defeating Shoma Kato and Tatsui Matsumoto. And through gritted teeth and applied pressure, Mishima's Boston Crab tapped Kato out. But Monty, I mean, starts off here. This was huge for the Young Lions. I know this was like a pre-kickoff match, but still to be even on the card was a really big deal.
Yeah, you kind of like you said, it's one of those things. Again, is how I know this really was a special show because again, you kind of have to look at everything in this proper context and look at it as what it is, and that is this is like one of those situations where you have a standard young lion match, of course, simple kickoff, and you know that they're probably nervous, but nothing flashy, straight up fundamental young lion match, and they did what they had to do, and I thought it was decent, but I do think again it means a lot in my opinion, and I think the commentators did a good job. Just in case you weren't familiar, I think the commentators did a really good job of kind of letting everybody highlight how important, in my opinion, a match like this is in the career of a young lion. Even if it may not feel important as a fan, and you may not necessarily say, "Oh, I'm gonna remember this young lion match, Miroshima or whatever. I'm gonna remember this guy, whatever, whatever." But for those 50,000 people pretty much in the building, who knows what kid or what person might have
Mm.
caught the eye of any of these young talents, and they might want to follow these younger guys all the way through to where they'll be main eventing one day. You never know. So I think that's always the beautiful thing about the young line. But like you said, to be on this show, to be on the retirement show of a guy like Tanahashi, at the end of the day, they'll be again. It's something you can tell everybody, whoever you want, like from a personal standpoint and also from a professional standpoint. going out there and being able to showcase, even if it was just like 5 minutes, is a really big deal for those guys. And I think they did a good job of kind of pointing that out, and you can kind of see again the antsiness of the kid of them. But I thought they did really well.
Yeah, what would you score out of five starts off?
I give it a three. I think this is like again, this is a very stereotypical young lion match in my opinion.
Yeah. Gina, anything to add and what's your score?
No, not really much to add. I did enjoy it though. I do find the sort of opening matches on New Japan a little bit more interesting than I do maybe on the American shows, because sometimes the American shows they just don't make sense. With New Japan it does. Some of those matches they just don't need to be on the pre-show, or there doesn't need to be a pre-show. But with New Japan it is kind of like that platform to for these guys to like raise themselves so that can become higher on the match card. And I appreciate seeing that, especially from watching New Japan for a couple of years now and seeing where some of the guys who were starting out the pay-per-view shows like this, where they are now, and seeing some of
Mm.
these newer guys opening up. So yeah, it was a great match. I think I'll stick with a three as well. It was just entertaining, and yeah, I kind of like is it Shoma Kato? Keeping my eye
Yeah.
on him. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what frustrated me. I really need to learn the names of the young lions. I would have picked Murashima, as he's impressed me on the Road 2 shows, but I just didn't know what he was called, you know? So when you just get given a list, you just, oh, just go that way. But, I'll blame myself for it anyway. 3.5, fun way to start. Predictions for the WNR Prediction League 2026. Unlike last year, we're all equal now, right? We're all equal, but not for long. Jaxie picked Murashima and Yasuda. Gene and I went Kato. Monty didn't send one, so Jaxie is on one and the rest are on zero. I'm sure she'll be happy about that. Up next, El Phantasmo versus Chris Brooks for the New Japan World TV title. Jado was in Phantasmo's corner and provided some fun moments during this fight. Nothing will top his reindeer from the Christmas Road 2 shows, but all jokes aside, Brooks was a standout here. He and ELP put in a fun and physical bout, with ELP picking up the win with the Thunder Kiss 86. Gina, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, again, I thought this was a good match. For me, I'm more familiar with ELP than I was Chris Brooks, so it was, a good match for me to kind of like get to know Chris Brooks a bit more. Obviously, I think ELP is just loved all around in New Japan, so that you could feel the hype from the crowd at just seeing him come out as well, and just feeling that atmosphere. I thought it was a good match. Again, I don't really have much thoughts on Chris Brooks because for me, I still feel quite new to getting to know him, but I always love any match that ELP is in. So it was an enjoyable one for me. I think
Yeah,
I'll rate this 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, if I had time, I'd check out DDT, but I haven't. Luckily, the backstage comments, which will go in a little bit, explained some more. But again, I'm just glad ELP was on the card in some shape. Monty, I mean, this was all right, wasn't it? There was the rubber strap moment, which I found hilarious, even though I weren't sure it was.
Yeah, man, I think this was good. I mean, like you said, I think it's good to see ELP. He's been doing really solid stuff with the TV belt, even though I do think, compared to like when Zach had it, they don't really. Again, I don't think it's his fault. Maybe it's just like the format type of deal. But yeah, I don't really think they showcase it as well as they did at the beginning. But I do think again it was a solid showing from everybody. I didn't know much about even Chris Brooks either, to be honest. I heard some things, but I thought he did a really good job. That he really picked up towards the end. And again, like you said, the spot they had a couple fun spots that kind of make you chuckle. And then again, ELP does what he does best, and I thought again Brooks looked solid, or at least made you wanna take a look and see more about him in the future, maybe. So yeah, I can't complain. I think I'll give this about 3 3/4. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, an ELP in the pink and black attack gear. I'm going to give this a 3.95. predictions. All ELP, so Jax is on two, the rest is on one. And then we got a video package. The main show started for Tanahashi. And to hype the show, we had a musical act to start, which was Rampage, who Taichi is a member. He's also a wrestler, and that's why he teamed up with Umino and Uemura as well. He's also from DDT, which meant the never openweight six-man championship was on the line in a huge Rambo match with 8 teams, a total of 24 competitors. Toriano, Yo, and Master Wato were the reigning champions. We had Zack Sabre Jr., Jackson, and Oiwa from TMDK. Bishman teaming with Bolton Oleg. Tekla was there to accompany Clark Connors and his team, the Knockout Bros. Tiger Mask, Toga McKay, and Rizuki Taguchi. Team 150, which is Ishii, Taichi, and Kojima. And as we talk about Rough Storm as well, and House of Torture. Renderita Sonada and Kanamura. Sonada was wearing a version of a Tron outfit or a gay Robocop. I'm not quite sure. But there were there were no tags in this style of match. Eliminations were made with pin, submission, or throwing someone over the top rope. 2 teams started with Knee Trio brought in every minute. And with this many competitors, it was always going to be mayhem. Lots of multi-man spots. Despite some moments that didn't go as planned, such as Yuta Rice's attempted elimination, it was what you expected to be. Zack Sabre Jr. ended up getting the win to crown TMDK as the new 6-man tag team champions. I mean, Monty, I mean, again, this is not classic wrestling, but it's just trying to fit as many people on the card. But I was surprised with the result.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was only surprised basically mostly because of where I just assumed Zach because mostly because of tag lead, but I had a problem with Zach kind of being even forced into this situation to where he's on the card in this way. I mean, I mean, like I don't know. I understand the point of it, but it just felt very lazy and very frustrating that so many guys who and again, it's not just because a lot of these guys are people that I like, but to have them all kind of just threw together in this match, I kind coming into it, I kind of knew what that this was going to be a tough one. Like, I'm not saying it was a bad match or anything, but it definitely was not the most interesting thing to me. It definitely would have been better, maybe as like a gauntlet. It definitely had some fun moments in it. And again, I just feel like a guy like Zach, who main evented last year, to be in this spot a year later when he hasn't really done anything, but it isn't like he fell off the cliff or his quality fell off or anything. I just was like, man, I was very confused going into it, asking questions like, okay, I know you want a tag league, but why is the tag match against Utah Ice and the crew not on the card? Why are we doing this? And then, like again, like you said, to have them win, it's fine, I guess. But this was a mess, man. It wasn't the most memorable thing. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't hideous. But yeah, man, I honestly really feel like I mean I know people hate the Rambo, the battle royal, but I probably would have benefited more from that almost than just seeing this. If you just want a bunch of people on the card, yeah, man. Then one person getting eliminated through the whole team. That's fine on the road, 2 shows. But like, yeah, man, it's just like, what are we doing, man? And again, I thought the work was solid, but it's just a situation to me I couldn't really get past. So maybe y'all saw a little bit more or had a little bit more fun with this than I did. But again, like you said, having Sonata, having my guy Tachi, having Ren Rita, and just so many other people that I felt like could have been doing different things on a Wrestle Kingdom card to just throw them all in here, it was very frustrating to me. I mean, we got Shota Umino and Yuri more in here too. It's just again, just Yoshi. I can go down the list. It's just so much. We got the former world champion with Goto in this. Like again, it's just so much wrong with this booking, and I didn't like it. Again, the Rambo is usually frustrating, but I think making it for the 6-man tag titles and doing it the way they did it here was just dumb, and like 20 minutes of just me like shaking my head looking at the screen.
But I think this is the thing, and Gina, when we talk about a big show, a lot of people. But I thought what was crazy is that the main event for last year's Wrestle Kingdom was in this match with Umino and Zack Sabre Jr., you know? And I think if it's any other promotion, I might be like, what the fuck, you know? But I'm like, I'm sure there's a reason, you know?
Yeah, for sure. With New Japan, I don't think I receive it in the same way that I would if it was like the American shows, and because I'd be like it doesn't make sense. They were main event in last month. Why are they starting the show? So it sometimes can just throw you off, but with New Japan it doesn't. It just kind of like okay, you know. But there were some big names in
Yeah.
this match, and it was a lot to sort of take in because there were a lot of people on loads of different teams that I really liked. So it was so difficult to like kind of choose who was going to win this match. Um, One thing I will say is I appreciate it didn't go on too long for how many people were involved in this match as well. I think it went the right amount of time. But yeah, it was just it for me. It felt like carnage because there was just so many people, and I was trying to keep up with who is who. I am familiar with them all now, but it was still a lot to be like, wait, who got eliminated, and does this mean the whole team's out, or is it just one person's out? So it's still new for me to kind of take in the way that New Japan does things. Exactly like what you said as well, with like Shota sort of being more in the main events last time, and now he's kind of more in the openings for these ones. And it still was fun though. For me, I really love Yuya Yamura. So anytime I see him involved with anything, I'm always happy. So I did enjoy this match. Had no idea who was going to win, to be honest. So I took a wild guess here.
Yeah, well, so I will say Utah Ice will mention this. He will be main event in dome shows in the future. He just has it. I don't know what he took on excursion. Speaking of dyed blonde hair, Oiwa did his as well. I guess he got told of he was being at spare by Utah Ice. And speaking of blondes, Yo turned into Yano. So I mean that was interesting. I'm annoyed my team was in the final two and lost, but those are the breaks, I suppose. So Monty, what would you score this out of five?
Yeah, I'll give it a 3.
Three. And Gina?
Yeah, I enjoyed this, and I did like how many teams were involved and how many big names were involved. So I'll give it 3.5.
3.5. Yeah, I tell you what, I'd really liked as well. Hartley, he was chuffed as fuck. I mean, Oiwa, it was his first gold, and I don't like TMDK's chances at the tag titles at New Year Dash, which is scheduled for the next day. 3 3/4 for me out of five. Predictions: girls went House of Torture, I went Bishy Leg, and Monty went Heatstorm. So no one was right. So Jaxie's on two, the rest are on one, and we've got the IWGP and the Strong Women's Championships are both on the line in a title versus title match with Sayuri and Kamitani. Neither woman had successfully landed a single strike until they were trading holes, and so he hit a stiff kick to the back. Kamitani used the referee's distraction so she could take control, and her cohorts at ringside helped her to cheat. Both competitors did some excellent work. In fact, this will likely be one of the biggest highlights for most fans. Both women came close to winning a few times, but when the dust settled, it was Sayuri who walked away with both belts. Gina, I mean, what were your thoughts on this? It's just great women's wrestling.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I'm not familiar with these two female wrestlers, but from both their entrances, I was already into it. They both look like great um uh characters in themselves. I had no idea who I was kind of voting for and how up there they were. I think that they had very different styles, but they were very evenly matched as well. That's kind of like my main thoughts on this. I thought they were matched up well. I think um I don't know which one was meant to be the heel because I'm getting their names mixed up. Is it the Sayuri that was kind of meant to be the
I
heelish?
think she was a face.
Yeah,
She
no,
was the
it's
face.
say your Kamatani is the heel.
Either way, I loved them both. I didn't know who was going to win. Um, I don't even remember who I voted for actually. So I don't even know if I won this one. But I thought it was a really good matchup, and I kind of was interested to know whether these two had fought one-on-one before this or whether this was a new one. So I can't remember whether the commentary made note whether this was their first match against each other or not. Was it? Do you know?
It wasn't.
Oh,
But
okay. Well, either
it's their first. It's kind of like their first match of this incarnation. Let's say it that way. Because Saya used to be a baby. Saya was a face for a long time, and then she kind of created their version of House of Torture, which would be kind of like evil. But
okay,
yeah,
interesting.
so yeah, it's kind of in the same vein. Probably not as annoying as House of Torture though. But yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah,
yeah.
she was a babyface for a long time. She used to do Dakota Ibushi. Like when they when they first started doing women's matches in Tokyo Dome, Saya Kamatani was the babyface who used to do the Phoenix Splash until she got injured. Like she was that. Like she was always meant to be the future, and she kind of switched her character around and took over Stardom as this bad guy. But Sierra is kind of like, I don't want to say final boss, but like she's kind of always been like that. Kind of always kind of portrayed as like that, like tough as nails, but like always kind of been a babyface.
Nah,
Yeah,
well,
and
they both are cool characters, so I really enjoyed the match.
well, Kamitani as well was the first woman named MVP in I think a wrestling magazine in Japan, and not only that, but Suri was trained by Tajiri, and that's why her kicks are kind of as awesome
Yeah,
as they are. But as I've said, if I had more time, I would watch Stardom. But unfortunately, but what I did like Monty was not just how crisp and kind of everything felt right for these two, but they didn't have a huge amount of time, but they did the most with it.
they got more time than they've ever been allowed so far. So that's a good sign looking forward. Like it's good. It was almost 15 or at least a good 12 minutes, which I know it may sound bad, but that based on what we're used to, that's I'm very happy with what we were kind of given here, especially when you think about the talent. And I think almost again that's very special. I know it's kind of like WWE love to kind of just stay with the Saudi Arabia is a perfect example. But WWE love to put on a pedestal how the inches that they've been given as far as women in Saudi Arabia goes. Well, it's kind of the same thing in a sense with New Japan. Like getting 15 minutes for the women on a Wrestle Kingdom card is really really cool, and hopefully it's a good sign of the future. And again, like you mentioned, James, Seiya Kamatani was voted the MVP in Tokyo Sports Pro, which is legit. They've never given it to a woman before, and she was one of the most. She definitely was deserving of it. As a matter of fact, she made this pick a lot harder for me when it came to predictions because I kind of figured that she wouldn't win because of things that happened in Stardom. But my logic was if she won the title match that she had like a couple days, a couple weeks before this, I was like, well, she'll probably win this one if she lose that one. But again, it's always luck of the draw in that regard. But my point is that made it tough because I knew how popular she was getting and how good her work had been. So it was like, did I really want to bet against that? Because that's just how dominant Saya has been over the, for the, in Stardom and just in wrestling in general. And it would have been cool to see her walk away with the championship. But Sayuri is again, I don't want to speak too soon, but like she's been one of the best women in professional wrestling for years now. And it's cool to see, again, it's so cool to see them allowed to just really do their thing and give a really great match. Like you mentioned, this is top notch women's wrestling. They didn't hold back. They had the good false finishes that I'm used to from the starter matches that I know about. And the scariest, or not scary, but the craziest thing is, like you mentioned, I know we don't really get the time to watch. But if you do, and the people who really live and die by stardom, they know that this was just like a taste. This is still a taste. This is still only like 15 minutes of what they do almost all the time consistently in stardom. So it's really cool that hopefully going forward as the years continue to go by, and hell, just as much as we've been covering it together, you guys can kind of see that we slowly but surely getting more and more and more when it comes to the stardom relationship with New Japan. And I just hope it only grows as the years go by. But yeah, man, this is really great, and I really wish that I could get more of it. Like you mentioned, I wish I had time. I wish, uh, and maybe that's on me. Maybe I can make more time than I know. I don't feel like I can, but like I gotta at least try to seek out more of the matches, even if I don't get to watch everything because they have been the best wrestling when it comes to women's wrestling for a long time. And every time they get a chance to showcase it, I'm glad that it opens up eyes.
Yeah, and again, we talk about the people don't lie at the moment with Stardom. We talk about the hate group kind of taking over, have been selling out more seats than most other promotions in Japan, and they just had the Wrestle
Right.
Queendom show as well, which I love. Could be Wrestle Kingdom, Wrestle Queendom. So it just shows just how strong the Stardom women are at the moment. Gina, what would you give out of five?
Yeah, I really enjoyed this match, and seeing as it was the only women's match on the match card, I'll give them a 3 3/4.
3 3/4, Monty.
Yeah, I gave it 4 1/4.
4 1/4. Yeah, I gave it 4.5. Really impressed. Predictions. Monty went Kamitani, so the rest went Sairu. So it means Jax is on three, James and Gina on two, Monty on one. And the next bout was a huge 10-man tag match with Shingo, Takaki, David Finlay, Gabe Kidd, Drilla Maloney, Irumi Takahashi facing Greater Khan, Callum Newman, Hanari, Andrade El Idolo, and a mystery partner who was revealed to be Jake Lee. Finley was carrying a big fake minigun. Sound effects played when he pretended to shoot, but nothing came out. And Gina, I don't know if you noticed this, but these entrances were like WWE long, weren't they? You know, it was like half the match, it felt.
Yeah, definitely. The entrances did take very long, but to be honest, that was a great time to go and get more snacks, use the bathroom. That was a good time to do that.
Yeah. Oh, Finley's using his gun again. Let's go make a cup of tea or something like this. But as for the match, the War Dogs attacked United Empire during the introductions. Most of the men took the fight out of the ring, leaving Andrade and Kidd as the first legal competitors in the team. Even though there wasn't much pattern to this match, we saw a lot of great sixes and spots sprinkled in throughout the fight. Lee ended up pinning Takahashi with a huge running kick to get the win for the United Empire. Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
This is fine overall. I mean, it was good. Like, again, it was cool to see Finley and Newman go at it again. I think that was kind of like one of the highlights. Again, 5v5 type of match. It is what it is. I mean, Jake Lee. I don't know. I never really been a big fan of him. I've been told by a couple of my New Japan mutuals that they really like what he got going on or coming up eventually, or at least like his character. Maybe they talking about character. Right? I think they're talking about his character, and they're like, you know what? Maybe that's what it is. But I'm not, and I'm not trying to sound closed minded, but when you wrestle like Jake Lee, it's like, do I really care about your character? He gets on my nerves at times. He's so frustrating, but it is what it is. I tolerate him. It's fine. I understand. Maybe in a few months I'll come back here and I'll tell you, Jake Lee is my favorite. But yeah, man. Again, it was fun, snappy. Of course, again, some of my favorites are in this match. Andrade fits in. He was here when he used to wear a mask way back in the day. So I'm actually, again, I'm like you, James, when you don't really know how long he'll be there or how much you'll see him. But I am happy that he's here because he's always his style always fit New Japan. Even when he was La Sombra, when and back in the day with the mask, he fit New Japan. So I think we all know he's a great wrestler. And I think probably because I'm not a big Jake Lee fan, the fact that I felt like a lot of this match was trying to make Jake Lee feel important. Maybe that soured me a little bit on it, but again, Andrade, Gabe Kidd, I thought had good moments, and of course you got Shingo, and like I mentioned with Finley, and then of course my guy Hiromu. Again, I don't mind it. I'm not really a big fan of like the chemistry. Maybe it's because in my mind I still see Finley and Kidd as a separate entity from a
Mm.
Shingo and a Hiromu, and maybe I just have to get used to that and that's just gonna take time because it feel like they feel makeshift right now because they've just been separate for so long. But maybe as time goes on, and maybe they get a better chemistry. But yeah, I don't even mind it. I mean, even though no, it seemed like some people didn't even tag into the match, which was funny. But yeah, this was cool, man. Again, I thought Andrade did well, and like I said, Newman is obviously going to be somebody that we're going to have to pay attention to. Again, we'll see. I don't want to say too soon that I think he's gonna be great. I see potential, but again, I try not to step off that field too soon. But yeah, I think again this match had a lot of good people, a lot of people I think who are interested in it. But do I think all together? Do I think this match again would I prefer to have like individual feuds or something? Sure, but for what this match was and the actual wrestling of the match, I thought this did well.
Yeah, you are right though. It is weird to see the unaffiliated together. It's just just doesn't work out, you know. But still, yeah. We talk about Jake Lee. He was out 15 months with an injury. Gabe used to team with Lee, even though I can't remember that from 15 months ago. But that was part of the betrayal, I suppose. Akira returned at the end as well. But it was, I mean, Gina. I mean, what are your thoughts on the match? But we saw a few people. I mean, it's good to see Hinare back after the kind of nightmare he's had as well.
Yeah, that was one of the main notes that I made of this match was I didn't realize that I missed Tenare until I saw him coming out and I was like, wait, he's been gone a while actually. So it was good to see him back. And yeah, I think he had like a really good spot with Shingo, I think. They were just beating each other to death at one point. So like that's what stood out to me the most in this match. When Jake Lee was announced, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, who? Again, I'm not like as familiar, so for me, I was more intrigued about Andrade being in this match than I was Jake Lee. Lee Jake. Wait, what's his name? Jake
Yeah,
Lee.
Jake Lee. Yeah.
Yeah, I was more I was more excited about Andrade being a part of the United Empire because for me that it's someone I'm familiar with, but it's a new setting. Whereas Jake Lee I didn't really know, so I wasn't really bothered about whether this was a return for him or whether a debut. I didn't even know what it was for him. So yeah, it wasn't a big deal for me. On the other hand, I also felt split because I kind of like Drilla Maloney. I think he's just, especially from the latest G1 that we watched, I kind of have noticed Drilla Maloney a lot more, and I think he did really well in this match too. So it's weird because I was kind of rooting for both sides because I have favorites on both sides, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Again, I feel like I watch New Japan matches differently to how I watch the American matches for AEW or WWE, regardless as to whether I have a favorite or not. With New Japan, I feel like I can still like both teams, even if they have, if their faces and heels. So yeah, it was just interesting to watch this. I also kind of feel like maybe Andrade should have just got the win. I I don't know. Part of me felt like he probably should have got the win over Jake Lee, but again, I think maybe New Japan fans might have the opposite thought, and they were excited about him coming back. But yeah,
Yeah.
either way, I thought it was a good match and interesting. I liked those that were involved in this match anyway. Um, yeah, I think all in all it was sorry, all in all it was a good match. I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, and it also, as I say, Gene, it's good to see Andrade kind of motivated because he has been to and fro from places, and maybe now he just wants to kind of knuckle down. And also, we saw how bad it got for United Empire. They might have turned the tide there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I kind of wanted Andrade to possibly get the pin here. I thought maybe New Japan's losing quite a few, members, so it would be good to kind of have someone new come onto the scene. And I felt like Andrade is motivated for that. He showed that motivation in this match. And I thought that might, if he even gets the pin here, then maybe they'll have someone new here to start elevating and put on their scenes. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed him being a part of this match. It will be intriguing to see how much more work he does with New Japan going forward.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Monty, I mean, again, we basically talked about the match, but my favourite part is Finley and Takashi using each other as weapons. What's hilarious is that Hiromu obviously has had the worst end of it, but at the Wrestle Kingdom, he was not to be outdone. So it's like, no, Finn, we're going to pay. They had a match basically on the same side.
Yeah, that again, and I think they kind of know that the I don't want to say it's jarring, but I think they kind of know that it's going to take a little while people to kind of adjust to them even being on the same team. And Hiromu's kind of a maniac anyway, so it works with his character. But yeah, I think that was a fun moment. But overall, we'll have to see how many legs this got because until they, and I think maybe it'll help if it felt more like they until they get like maybe it help if they get like more of a common goal or a common bond. But yeah, again, it felt thrown together, but I do think they tried to make the best of it. They're talented guys, so they're gonna make the best of it.
What would you give out of five?
3 3/4.
Three quarters. I'm going to give it a four. Predictions. The girls went for unaffiliated. The boys went for United Empire. So it means Jaxie James on three, Monty Gina on two. Our next match was Show versus Cozy Fujita versus Taji Ishimori versus El Desperado. Number one contendership for the junior heavyweight title. And Doki, the current champion, came out to watch the match from ringside. Ishimori hit a big dive from the top rope while Show was still making his entrance. Once all four men were ready, Show ended up on the receiving end of a beating from all three opponents. Show took out the referee to allow his friends to come in and help him cheat. But Robbie X and Robbie Eagles, along with Kukai, who wasn't even part of the match, showed up to send Doki out of the ring. After the chaos settled down, El Desperado got the pin to become the new number one contender. Gina, what were your thoughts?
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't really interested in this match. I don't know what it was, but yeah, there was something about this match that didn't. It was probably the one on the match card that I've probably forgotten the most. That's not to say that the wrestlers involved are not somebody are not some that I enjoy, because I do like El Desperado, I like Show, I like Ishimori, but I just kind of was like, yeah, for me, this match, I think, like, maybe all the involvement and House of Torture stuff, I don't know. I think it was maybe a bit much, and I just lost a bit of interest. So, to be honest, it wasn't the best match on the match card for me. And I did lose a bit of interest.
But it's interesting as well that Doki didn't want to wrestle or indeed banish the ghost. Let's not forget it was last year at Wrestle Kingdom against El Desperado where he got injured. And I know it's more storyline, but don't you think it's weird he didn't actually want a match at Wrestle Kingdom as well, just to kind of sort that out?
Yeah, I mean, it is weird, especially knowing that it's also not just any Wrestle Kingdom, but it's Tanahashi's like final one. So even just to be involved in a match on that match card, like, would be what I would think is special. So it is kind of shocking that he didn't want to have a match. And I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised that, like, he wasn't just told, yeah, you're having one.
Monty,
I
what were your
mean,
thoughts on this
then again,
match?
he
Sorry,
doesn't work for
Gina.
WWE, does he?
No, no. Monty. Sorry, Monty, what were your thoughts on this?
I love House of Torture shenanigans. And I don't necessarily understand. I mean, I don't hate. I don't understand, or I'm not mad at anybody who don't. But this booking was stupid, man, and it ain't even got nothing to do with the House of Torture shenanigans. I mean, first of all, obviously, it's like you mentioned. I get it. Whatever storyline reason they want to explain Doki not wanting to fight uh, Despy here or defend his belt, we'll I'll let them go with their flimsy kind of logic. I doubt that's legit, but we'll let them slide with whatever they want to say in that regard. But for us to not only not get a title match at Wrestle Kingdom, because I think that's my biggest takeaway from this Wrestle Kingdom, is just like this supposed to be the show of all shows, and I just don't think they did a good job, in my opinion, overall. And I'll get to that to the end, but I just don't think this is a perfect example of them not doing a good job of capitalizing on the 50,000 people, in my opinion, in that building, because I just don't understand how you can have a match with this. Because, like, let's say you don't, all right, you decide not to do the title match. So, all right, I'm over that. But we get Ishimori, we get Fujita, we get Desperado here. We get some of the most talented people, juniors you can have. And we just don't really get anything out of it. Like, once the match was starting to really get going, it was already time for it to end. And I get it. I know they had to make time for what we're gonna get at the end because the last two matches are both like 30 minutes pretty much. But this is very, very frustrating that we can't even get a 10-minute match for a title that's supposed to be legitimately one of the, if not the second most important title since we don't really have an intercontinental title anymore. But like again, it's a world title in its own right, even if it is a junior heavyweight title. So for a belt like that with that legacy, to get this type of match. Not only was the match itself bad, I love Despy and I have no problem with him being there. But if we're gonna just end up with Despy as a number contender to fight Doki, I'd rather we just get Doki and Despy. And I'm with you. I understand that. Like I said, I don't want. Now maybe they knew they were gonna be short on time and they didn't want to shortchange Despy and Doki, but we talked about it earlier. We got that 20-minute Rambo and some of this other stuff that could have got cut if that was the case. So I don't necessarily agree with the booking. And again, thank goodness that we are in the show that we part of the show that we are in because I know what's about to happen for at least the next three matches. But right at this point, I was really at my wits end with this show because I was like, this can't be Wrestle Kingdom. That's where I felt coming out of this. As solid as I love, as much as I love Desperado, as much as I love House of Torture shenanigans, and I knew it was going to happen. With these four guys, I expected more time, and I also didn't expect Despy to win. I thought Fujita or Ishii, something. I thought something fresh would be the result. We didn't get it. And if Despy was going to get there, I was hoping the journey to get Despy here was going to be better than that. So everything about this match just kind of rubbed me the wrong way.
But I get it in a way, if you've sold out the dome, right, because of Tanahashi, then you don't really need. I can see their mindset of you don't really need to waste, Doki and Despy when you know that can be a road to, or like you said, the new beginning coming up,
Would
or
you say
even
that if this was WrestleMania?
well, no, exactly. That's my thing. The Knockout Brothers and TMDK saved for New Year's Dash, but it was so fucking weird. If this is your first show and you get told it's the biggest show of the year, and you get what we've had in the undercard, then it's going to confuse you, because again, it's not. It's just putting people on the card. There's no kind of dream matches like you said at
No.
an old WrestleMania where it was like the final meeting between the two guys or the first
Mm-hmm.
time ever meeting, and with this it was just I felt it was just New Japan going, look, we're gonna have this for the rest of the year. Just enjoy the next couple of matches. This
Right.
this is kind of what we're gonna do.
And I agree with you. That's their logic, but I just don't think I don't agree with said logic because these are the most people that they're going to pack into a building, and then you vice versa. You got worldwide people watching worldwide to watch Tanahashi. Like kind of in the same vein of where John Cena retired, he wanted to use that platform to showcase NXT talent. Now you have people in Saudi Arabia. Now you have all these other people know who Obafemi is, or know Javon Evans, or know Sol Ruka. Like, and I think that is the a proper. And again, that's the one thing. If I got anything I've said, I've always y'all you noticed I've been on hard as hell on WWE about the way they did their retirement tour versus New Japan. But like as far as this show in particular goes, they had an opportunity, in my opinion, to really restore the feeling because I feel like the whole first part of the show outside of the women's match and even that match, that's not going to necessarily make you come back to New Japan. It's going to make you go up, try to seek out stars, in my
Yeah.
opinion. So it's like everything that they did in the first part of this show, nothing, in my opinion, did a good job of making people be like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I come back to New Japan to watch New Japan going forward. No, I'm going to try to get to these main events, so I can watch this Takeshita and I can watch Okada and watch Tanahashi. And I just don't think that's going to help you when we're trying to go into a new era versus, of going into a new era opposite losing Tanahashi. That's my thought process. But obviously that wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, Gina, it is a bit weird, isn't it? Because like we said, it is. We kind of know New Japan, and even we are watching it and going, "Oh, okay, this we're just waiting for the next. We're waiting for the main events, basically."
Yeah, definitely. At this point, I was just ready for the main events.
Yeah, so we're gonna score it, Gina. What would you give this match?
Um, 2.5.
Ooh, ouch, Molly.
He's not that far off. I gave him a 3.25.
I'm gonna give it a 3 3/4. Predictions: Monty went Vegeta, Jaxie went Ishimori, James and Gina went for Despy. So it means I'm on 4, Jaxie, Gina on 3, Monty on 2. New Japan announced their events for 2026. I guess the biggest surprise it is G1 Climax on one of the nights in Chicago. And up next, Olympic gold medalist Aaron Wolf was given a big opportunity in his debut match when he challenged Evil for the Never Open Weight Championship. Evil not only brought out several members of House of Torture with him, but he took a cheap shot before the bell to get the match started. Wolf was not intimidated and took the fight to the champion as they traded shots. And this match was designed to make Evil look like a devious cheater while making Wolf look like a valiant fighter. Not surprising, there was a lot of interference booked in this bout, but Wolf was able to pull off the upset with a submission win to become the new Never Open Weight champion. Monty, what are your thoughts?
This is good. This is really good. I think this is a great showcase of Aaron Wolf and his talent. I think you can kind of tell that he's I don't want to say young, but you can tell he's uh kind of he's gasping for air at times. So you knew as time went on, you know what I mean. But the grappling was really good. You can kind of showcase. And I honestly believe that Evil, in my opinion, put on another great performance, similar to in the same vein of the performance he put on against Takeshita. I think the thing is about Evil is that he is something that we don't see in wrestling anymore. And I think, to be fair, and this is not just me being an Evil stan, but I like pointing out that uh, I think, to be fair to outside, because I think the people on the East love Evil, and they really appreciate what him and Alpha Torture does, and in moments like this, even in this particular situation. But the people on the West don't necessarily like House of Torture and don't like Evil as much. And I think the funniest thing about that is that it's all by, it's like you mentioned, it's all by design. You know, like Evil is literally one of the only people who is still a legit heel. Every other heel, even Max, even MJF, as evil as everybody like to think about MJF, you guys laugh at him. He makes jokes, he say things, and he's like a tongue in cheek bad guy in a sense. Evil is not. He is legitimately the worst of the worst. He's always trying to do the work, have the worst possible outcome, and he's not trying to give you what you want. It's funny because I think John Cena was not necessarily saying he was trying to be evil, but everything John Cena said, like when he was verbiage, like I'm gonna take everything away from you, I'm gonna make my matches not fun, I'm gonna do this. That's literally evil. That's literally evil. Like evil has literally done that. And again, I think they did a good job of not burying the opponent. Like they made, in my opinion, Wolf look like a bigger star in the process. And I think he was full of fire. And again, he sold some of these tickets. I know a lot. I know the gate primarily is definitely got to go to Okada and Tanahashi, of course. But Aaron Wolf sold some of these tickets also, and a lot of people over there in the East were really excited to see what this kid looked like and what he could possibly be, because he isn't like you said, an Olympic medalist, and he's one of those guys, in my opinion, who can have the potential just based on where they placed him and how and what this match is for. You can tell New Japan feel like he has the potential to lead the charge in a way too, because not only because of his legitness, but because of how popular he is in Japan because of said accolades athletically. So yeah, man, it's really cool to kind of look at this and see where he at. But I also think this was like House of Torture at its best. Like I know some people don't like it, but I even think some of the people who may not like the way House of Torture do their thing, in my opinion, uh, I don't see how you could look at this and not be like, they really did a good job of making a baby face and making a new face look like a star.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, Gina, this is the thing, isn't it? Like we talk about the difference between like us watching American wrestling and New Japan. It's Aaron Wolf is having his very first match you know, the huge position of Tokyo Dome, and I'm like, this guy's going to be in trouble. And like the crowd fucking loved him. You know what I mean? Like Wolf got great pop, especially when he took off like the judo outfit and he had the shaved head and the black trunks. You know what I mean? It was just, I'm like, wow, maybe they have got someone that can connect to the crowd in this first match. Weirdly enough.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest note that I have from this is how much backing Aaron Wolf had from the crowd. I didn't realize he was this over with the crowd, and he was even just doing basic moves, and they were just chanting as if he'd done something amazing. Not that his moves weren't good. I think all of his judo shots looked really good, especially, when all of House of Torture started coming out, it really made him look formidable. Like he didn't need backup himself. He could just do it all himself. So I think that's what got him over well in this match. And I think Evil did well in showcasing his standard antics, but also showcasing Aaron Wolf and how strong he was. So yeah, I thought this was a great match, and I was kind of shocked. The thing is, I wasn't shocked at House of Torture getting involved. This is the match that I expected them to get involved in, not the previous match, which is why it kind of threw me off. I'm not the biggest fan of, like, factions getting involved in multiple matches of the night. I think it just overkills them. But I liked them being involved in this match, probably because it helped elevate Aaron Wolf even more and got him over even more with the crowd. So I thought it was a good match, and I think both Evil and Aaron Wolf looked really good during it.
Yeah, I mean, he did all right. You know, he got to hit the Olympic slam, didn't he? Which is, I mean, even I popped for that. I thought that was quite good. But Monty,
Yeah,
again,
but his
this
frog
kind of,
splash wasn't great.
yeah, no, he's got work to do. Yeah. But like we were saying, and Monty, the thing is that with Tanahashi going, and I hate to mention it, but obviously Evil and Sonada on the way out, it's actually good to see someone come in and looking to build behind. I know we got young lions, but obviously with Round Wolf to win the championship in his first match is a big deal, no matter what.
Yeah, and I think that's the ideal. Like you mentioned, when it comes, especially with Evil being placed in this position, knowing what I know about Evil and what he's done on the as far as like guiding a lot of the newer talents to their position. The next era, we may not have a lot of those familiar faces from like the era that I started watching New Japan in over the last decade, but the next decade seemed to be, indecent to pretty good hands if you really think about it. And I hope I think not only this match, the next match also obviously is one of those things to where I think that's kind of like the messaging you get. And that's kind of what makes the whole show a little bit more frustrating. But again, I'll get to my overall rating in a sense after that. But yeah, I think you're 100% right. When you have a guy like Sonata, when you have Evil, when you have these guys who've done everything you can do in New Japan, pretty much on their way out outside of, I mean, of course, with the legendary Tanahashi, and then again, like we talked about with Naito earlier in the year, just having those guys on the way out, and then having a guy like this come in on his debut, and like you said, be put in this spot, and he didn't drown. The crowd immediately is invested. And I think you can walk away from this just being very, very impressed, in my opinion, overall, with just the way that they not only showcase this kid, but just again the confidence and like the fact that that he is a young lion when he's very famous. I know he's not technically. He's kind of like he's kind of like like that he's a student in the school, but like he's not because like everybody know him and he's a champion now, but he's still technically like in the Young Lions system. So uh yeah, it's really cool when you think about it. But I think yeah, man, overall that is what we need. And I think as outside we'll talk about it in a second as a wrestler, but for President Tanahashi, I know he's excited to be possibly leading us into a charge where we have guys like an Aaron Wolf on the roster to help lead New Japan forward. And he's legit outside of the ring, but I think like you said about Udo Ice, we got people sprinkled all up and down the car who can be fixtures going forward. And I think that's obviously the goal for Aaron Wolf.
Yeah. All right. So scores then, Monty. What would you give it out of five?
I give it a 4.
For Gina.
Yeah, same. I'll give it a 4.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4 as well. Predictions: Monty went Wolf, the rest went Evil. So I'm on 4. Gina, Jackson, Monty, all on 3. And the second of two title versus title bouts saw Takeshita and Yota Tsuji put their IWGP World and Global Heavyweight Championships on the line. It was made clear this was not a unification match, that both belts would be defended separately by whoever won. They started with a relatively simple exchange, but soon as Tsuji slapped Takeshita across the face, the fight was on. They didn't rush to get a breakneck pace. They took their time building up to a quicker sequence. This made sure this was not overshadowed by the main event by making this one of the best bouts of the night. Both men stole the other's finishers as we were building towards the finish, and after a long and hard-fought match that included several near falls, Takeshita tapped to a Boston Crab to give Tsuji the win, your new IWGP World Champ. But Tsuji was celebrating, Jake Lee attacked from behind, signaling his lust for gold and what to look forward to after Wrestle Kingdom. Gina, what were your thoughts? Tsuji, the man that we saw in, I can't remember, Crystal Palace, was it? And we thought he had nice hair against Ishii, is now the champion. Who would have thought it? What a journey.
Honestly, this was just such an amazing match. Um, from start to finish, I was invested. Both wrestlers have just been great this past year. Um, Takeshita's amazing, isn't he? He's
Mm-hmm.
just so good. He's at the top of his game right now, and I'm just always in awe watching him wrestle. He's so good. He knows how to target weaknesses. He's great at, building momentum and hitting some hard punches. Suji, like you said, we saw him wrestle Ishii in London, and here he is now. He just looks like a complete different person from how much he's grown. And yeah, I think both men did well. Pulling each other's finishers was great. They had loads of, near misses. I liked that at one point Suji had to put his foot on the rope rather than kick out.
Mm-hmm.
It was just showing how exhausting the match was for both of them because they were giving it their all. It was just a great match from start to finish. I am biased because I love both these wrestlers, but I think they just showcased why everyone should love them both. I think the right guy won in the end because I think Takeshita, in my eyes, more is seen as the outsider out of the two because he is more dominant in AEW, whereas Suji is more of the home favorite, or at least in my eyes, that's how I see it. So I think the right guy won with Suji getting the belts, but all in all, I wouldn't have been mad if Takeshita still won it too, because he's on such a hype and I think he's going to have another great year ahead of him.
No, without doubt. There was a couple of, like I said, fantastic moments. Well, more than a couple. The blue thunder bomb off the top as well for the near fall. They're running at each other as well when Suji did hit the Gene Blaster. But again, this was just excellent. Monty, as we said, Suji is the man now. But is there Boston Crab to get the win? Is that symbolic of something, or is that just? Do you know what I mean? Is it just going back to their young lion days or something like that?
I just want to say you saw it in the very first match. It is the staple. It is the young lion finish. It is literally. I love that Suji still does it because most talent shed that skin of those days. If Takeshita was denied entrance into the New Japan dojo, so it was a kind of little wink, wink, nudge, nudge to that. It was like, you still not good enough, or you still not a real legit New Japan guy, even though you would held that belt. You know what I mean? You didn't come through this dojo. You're not that guy. That's one way you can look at it. And you can also just look at it as, of course, Antonio Inoki's finish. So one of his finishes. So again, it's a lot of little, deep seated New Japan lore tied into the Boston Crab. So I did think it was very fitting, and I think that's why he kind of did it. But yeah, man, this was solid. It was really good. I don't think neither guy strayed away from what they kind of uh I don't think they would neither were strayed away from what I'm kind of used to and from like their big match form. But I thought it was a great match, and I think Suji being the guy is the right move. He's obviously the guy who the young. He's obviously the guy who came back from the excursion and he's progressed the most. And it seemed to be the most unique out of that crop of talent that we all kind of thought would, be at this level by now. So yeah, and I think I think New Japan got lucky. I'll say that. I keep saying it again. Maybe I'm just a traditionalist, and I didn't like it when Naito lost his belt before Wrestle Kingdom. When it comes to Zack winning it early and then defending it, I'm not really the biggest fan of that. I'm just a guy who like if you win the G1, you get a shot at Wrestle Kingdom, and let's stick to that. Because you end up with like a couple month reign with Takeshita, and then like Takeshita not. It's even worse when you give it to a guy who's not going to be on the card. At least Zach was on the card leading up to Wrestle Kingdom when Takeshita couldn't really afford to be there because he's doing AEW's dates and doing what he has to do around the world. So I'm not really a fan of that format. I don't know what is it gonna take for that format to win me over. But I was a fan of how I feel like New Japan got lucky because I think Takeshita is low key the perfect guy to kind of do that with. For some reason, I thought you could still pass the torch and it could have been Zach, and I think we'd all be still be satisfied and say Suji's the guy. But it does hit a little harder. It does feel a little bit better to have it be from that outsider, to have it be from a guy that whether you look at Takeshita as an AEW guy, a DDT guy, or whatever, however you look at Takeshita, it does hit a little bit home, a little bit harder to have Suji kind of get that belt back and finish that kind of story of feeling like he is the future for New Japan, and he, like you said, he is the man now. And I thought they did a great job. This is one of those matches that unfortunately I feel like is going to be forgotten by the time because we have so many great matches all the time. We might not remember that this feels like a match of the year contender as we watched it. But again, I thought everybody did a really good job. I thought Takeshita uh, gave it his all with New Japan. It wasn't like he was shortchanging New Japan and just going hard everywhere else. He's a machine like that. But I thought Suji matched him, and that's great. And I hate New Japan for thinking I want to see Jake Lee in the spot against Suji.
that's the thing, isn't it? That is the issue. We just had Takeshita and Suji, and it's like, oh great, we've got Suji and Jake Lee coming up now. Like, I'm sure it will
Just
be
what I need.
fine. But yeah, but Takeshita looked at home, and like you said, it's nice to see Suji getting on Takeshita's level, even if it was only for that night, and actually getting a victory for New Japan. That was important. I know the main event is going to be a different story, but again, at this point in time, it was nice to see Suji getting a win. Gina, what would you score this out of five?
4.5.
Monty?
4 3/4.
I'm gonna give this a five because I got into it, and there's very few with the amount of wrestling we watch to get into a match properly, like I
Okay,
did
wait,
this
change
one.
mine to a 5 too, then. Just wait.
No, I don't know, but do you know what I mean, Gina? Like we
No,
watch
but I
so
do,
much
yeah.
wrestling,
No, I
like
definitely feel like it was one of my favorite matches of the match card, so I think actually fuck it, give it a 5.
well, it was 46,913 in official attendance for the show. I just hope Jake Lee versus Suji sells tickets. But no, predictions, we all went Suji. So James is on 5, the rest is on 4. And the whole night led up to the main event Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada in Tanahashi's retirement match. I mean, even if you don't watch New Japan regularly, you could just feel how important this match was from the way the crowd was reacting. Tanner and Okada began with some basic wrist locks to ease in what sure was to be a long match. Okada hit a tombstone pile driver on the entranceway. Looked like he might have the match in hand, but Tanahashi was able to make it back for the count out. The Rainmaker hit another when he got back to the ring, but he pulled Tanner's head up before the ref could count to 3. Somehow, the ace was able to kick out of a Rainmaker clothesline and break free from a Boston Crab, which only served to further frustrate Okada. Tanahashi hit a Kinshasa to pay homage to Shinsuke Nakamura for hitting the high-five flow for a close 2 count. But this match was a combination of storytelling and great wrestling from two veterans. Tanahashi had every fan on the edge of their seat, and after more than 30 minutes of action and several finishes, Okada hit the Rainmaker and finally put Tanahashi down for one final time. Um, you can even tell my voice is going to change talking about it. Monty, let's go to you. Because we just want to talk about the match first before we talk about everything that kind of happened afterwards. I mean, what were your thoughts on the actual match? You know, talk about Tanahashi standing up. I thought he delivered.
Yeah, this is perfect. I mean, I think this is the way they tell the story. I can't really ask for much more. It definitely felt like the end of an era for me watching it, and I don't know how I didn't want to. I had to just look at the match. I couldn't like you mentioned. Uh, I couldn't look at it in its proper context. I just had to watch the match because if I looked at it in its proper context and what I was actually watching, it probably would have been. I didn't want to overrate it, but I also didn't want to not appreciate what I was watching. So yeah, man. It was a great story, man. It was one trying to go back to his old ways. One guy trying to go back to his old ways, and another one who was trying not to go back to his old ways. And it's kind of funny in my opinion when you watch it because if you look at how Okada kind of wrestled, I mean, of course, his arrogance has always been there, but like the version of him that you see in AEW is like 10 times arrogant, 10 times more of a chicken shit wrestler than he ever was in New Japan. And you know, yeah. So when he finally hit that pose, and he finally kind of just went to like that place that many times over the years that if you watch New Japan, you know that Okada is basically unstoppable when he's focused and he's at that place. It was like the one last time he was able to just put Tanahashi down and be completely who he is, be the Rainmaker. Because if you watch most of the match, in my opinion, I felt like he was I don't want to say he was wrestling like just like AEW, but he kind of was wrestling with that way that I can beat Okada. I'm Okada. I'm who I am. And as many times he has, I can best this old man. I can best what Tanahashi at without ever having to go back to that place. But Tanahashi pushed him there. And like I mentioned all the time, nobody is better at making people believe. You've seen it all year. You know, he's great at just going below where you think he could go or pulling something out that you didn't think Tanahashi could do it just to stay in a match. And like that's what he's all about. And I think this match embodied fighting spirit, which if you know that term, you know that that is what New Japan, that is what Tanahashi, that is what this era of like hell, let's just go old 2003, 2004, all the way to 2026. That era of Tanahashi is all about fighting spirit. And yeah, man, it was cool. I mean, a lot of people brought up. I mean, English commentary brought up Rock and Austin. They brought up Flair and Steamboat and all of that. And and I get it. They do deserve it because I think Tanahashi and Okada rivalry is like I think for personal reasons, I wanted Shinsuke in this spot. But as far as rivals go, it is one of the best rivalries ever. And so I don't think we lost out in that regard because Tanahashi and Okada have done this dance many times. And as you saw in this match, when they're dancing and they focus like Tanahashi and Okada was in this particular situation, you can't really ask for much more. So yeah, man, it was very poetic. The crowd and like again, Okada, in my opinion, had the crowd in his hands. He was laughing the entire time. Again, he played into that role as a villain perfectly. But again, like I mentioned, some people may not know this, but that's Okada. That is truly who he is. He's just way more animated now in America, but he was always just arrogant, just he was always that guy. He was always this storm of arrogance and dominance. And Tanahashi was always the perfect underdog. And that's what this was. He was clinging to everything he could, every chant. And that's what made this match, I think, so emotional. Was like how you can kind of see Tanahashi make try to make you feel like you know what he can do this, even though he had no business doing it, and we all kind of probably knew in the back of our mind that he wasn't going to do it, but that didn't matter for the 30 minutes of this match. That didn't matter, and I think that's a perfect embodiment of why Tanahashi is who he is, and what a way to go out. I mean, you can't ask for much more. This is probably the perfect retirement match to me, almost. Like I don't think you can do better.
Yeah, I mean, as you talk about over the past 18 years, these two have been in over 300 matches together as both opponents and partners. I can't believe we're at this moment. But Gina, as Monty said, the moment for me, or the story of the match, was basically Tanahashi having bringing out the old Okada. Okada wanted to be this AEW Okada, and in the end, the old Rainmaker had to come out to finally put Tanahashi away. Otherwise, who knows what the result would have been, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I don't think I'll be able to rate this match as much as like as well as Monty, but I will admit that it was interesting to see how Okada had to change into that old Rainmaker just so that he could get this win. He was a bit being quite arrogant throughout the beginning parts of the match, and even when he was pulling his head up, that was his cocky AEW side. And then when he realized, actually, I'm not getting this, he had to, switch it up and go back. And that was quite interesting. And again, I will say just one quick little small fuck you to WWE with the whole Shinsuke thing. But I agree with Monty. I think this rivalry with Tanahashi and Okada was the perfect retirement. This is probably one of the most perfect retirement matches I've ever witnessed as a wrestling fan. I know there are other great retirement matches out there. I just mean in terms of ones that I've seen happen live rather than having to go back and watch. Um, it was just great. It was amazing to see them, and I felt emotional watching this match. And I didn't think I would get emotional, but I did feel quite emotional watching the match between them. It was great. It was beautiful, and I think Tanahashi pulled out a lot to keep kicking out of those rainmakers until Okada finally got it. Yeah, it was a great match.
Yeah, and what a retirement tour it has been. And Tanahashi's knee pad said, "Thank you for everyone from Tanahashi," which just shows you he's a class act. Out of five, then, Monty, what would you give it?
5 plus plus plus. I don't know, 5 stars.
And Gina?
Yeah, 5 star.
Yeah. Predictions. James and Gina went um, no, I didn't go Okada. Uh, James and Gina went obviously for Okada. We were right about that. Yes, Jaxie went Tanahashi. She said with Takeshita coming out and screwing Okada over, and Monty put Tanahashi because Okada's a prick who left us. So no hard feelings there, Monty. It's good to see. It's good to see. But final scores: Monty Jaxie on 4. Gina on 5, and what's this? New year, new James. James on 6 for the win. Get in there. So the bonus league, Monty, Jaxie, Gina on big fat 0. I'm on 1, and it is coming home this year. But after the wrestling was done, Tanahashi and Okada traded some words on the mat, and once it was over, you could almost see a smile on Tanahashi's face. But now it was time for the actual send off from an icon. Okada got on the mic and simply said, "Thank you." And after higher ups gave Tanahashi his flowers, literally, out come Jay White. And Gina, oh, when you see Jay White, you go, God, I miss him. I miss Jay White, the Switchblade. Where have you been? I know he's injured, but my God.
Yeah, honestly, I kind of had to run to Google to quickly just check the progress of his injury as soon as I saw him come out. I miss him so bad. I really do. And I miss his charisma on the mics, and he just has this presence. So I even started getting emotional seeing Jay come out.
Yeah, well, then when Osprey and Kenny Omega came out, do you know what I mean? They're not making it's like fucking hell, they're bringing everybody. Like,
Yeah, that's
our
when I
journey.
that's when I grabbed the tissue box.
And also, we should say Kota Ibushi, who after that horrible injury, struggling to come out to show his respect to Tanahashi as well, really broke your heart. And when Shibata's theme hit, Tanahashi, who really cried a ton, broke down hard. Shibata removed his ops shirt once he hit the ring and had a chop battle with Tanahashi. I mean, Monty, for you, that must have been such a great callback as well, because like you talk about with Shibata, Tanahashi, and of course Nakamura, the history that they've got together, you know?
Yeah, I think that was the moment when I got frustrated about Shinsuke not being there because I didn't even need him to wrestle. Like if he could have just been there for that part, just to be with the three, just to make it the Three Musketeers like it was supposed to be, with him and Shibata allowed to be there for Tanahashi in person in that moment, and listening to Shinsuke kind of talk about wishing he could have been there, and to be the bright side, it seems like WWE remembered that he's on the roster because of this. So they like now they put him on TV every week, which is frustrating. Like they started to use him, I guess, to make it like, well, all right, well he's not doing nothing. We needed him just for a backstage segment with Tom Tonga. But
Oh.
but either way it goes, I think that's when I got kind of annoyed about that. But again, like you said, the moment watching Tanahashi get emotional and just again seeing all those faces, more so Shibata. I ain't, yeah, Osprey, who cares? Kenny, it's great to see Kenny. Great to see you, Kenny. Great to see you, Kenny. You can tell who I'm like. You can tell who I'm
Yeah.
aggravated with, and who I don't care is gone. But yeah, no, this was great. It was great to see all of them now able to give Tana his moment, and again, nobody does it better. I mean, I don't know how you can sit back. I mean, if the match wasn't gonna make you emotional, uh, it definitely got me, and you know what really got me? Like all this is fine, but when my boy made them wait 6 years when this music hit, that's what really got me.
Yeah.
Because Naito came out. Yeah,
I'm about to
yeah.
say to you, yeah,
Forgot
we
about
had
screw the rest of these bars. Naito came out there.
we had Muta and Tatsumi Fujinama were next, and then we got a surprise. As like I said, Naito months after he left New Japan on odd terms, and it was funny because Tanahashi was saying like, "How long are you going to take?" And he did take a long
Oh,
time,
he
but it's
took his
Naito.
sweet time. Oh, he's such a troll, and he knows the man retired and still got the nerve to say, "Oh, someday we'll meet again in this ring." And I'm like, Naito, what is wrong with you? Like why are you like this? But again, like you mentioned, it's Naito. Nobody's like Naito, so of course he's gonna make everybody wait. He made them play his new music after playing the old music, and I'm just like, yeah, it wouldn't be right. But yeah, no, still awesome to see. You know what made my day. Like I saw that, I was like, yeah, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Like I mean, I love Musa too. I'm sorry for disrespecting you, great Musa. I love you to death. But come on, man, the goat was out there. But yeah, again, like I mentioned, seeing all those people out there, and like you said, knowing Naito doing his own thing, and basically in like Noah and everywhere else now, and you got again we're talking about evil and we talk about my basically the last 10 years of my New Japan fandom. The big chunk of that is gone. As a matter of fact, after this show, going forward, something else that I grew up that I grew to love when it comes to Bullet Club is no longer a prison. So yeah, man, everything I love about New Japan is dying a slow death. But this moment for Tanahashi to go out and on and kind of still get a salute from everybody that did kind of wrap a bow up of that era for me to where it's like these last 10 years been fun. So let's hope we get more fun and less Jake Lee.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're taking it well. It was time for Tanahashi to speak. He thanked everyone for coming tonight. He's finally been able to see from a New Japan ring what a sold out Tokyo Dome looks like. He retires here today, but from now on, the wrestlers in New Japan will fight with everything in their hearts. He hopes everyone will keep on supporting them. He then stands in the middle of the ring and someone tosses a massive air guitar. It must be quite weird if you don't know the Tanahashi character and you're all this sad moment, and suddenly and the air guitar comes into it. Um, he strikes up the band and leaves Tokyo Dome with some air guitar. But Gina, another moment that got me was the 10 bell salute that they did to officially mark the end of Tanahashi's career. It was like, fucking hell, man, this is hardcore.
Yeah, I mean, I I did make a little joke and went, he's not dying, guys.
Is he like, do we like, what do they do
Oh,
to
he
retired wrestlers in
he is
Japan?
never coming back. He is never
Yeah,
coming
do you
back.
know what? It's probably because they obviously do that more in WWE when they're sort of doing a remembrance for someone. So again, it was just like, oh Jesus Christ, they're going all out. But I also, can I just say, Naito made me laugh with how
Mm,
long he made him wait. I was like, this is standard Naito. Why am I not surprised that he made him wait?
Yes, exactly. And but then this is what I loved about New Japan. We thought that was it, and then Tanahashi was then literally carted around the dome to wave goodbye to everyone. And again, like literally around the whole. Like this is what I envisioned John Cena's kind of farewell to be, and this was Tanahashi literally going around and waving. I waved at one point. He couldn't see me, but do you know what I mean? I just got into it. And then this is the moment as well, as he got to the stage and he walked into the fireworks went off, he walked into the smoke and the light as the curtain was closed on Tanahashi's career. And with that, the Wrestle Kingdom broadcast came to a close. And Monty, the one thing I found most interesting about it was, again, talk about difference being maybe between Japanese and American wrestling. Not a single fan left after the match had finished. They all sat there, all stood there to pay respect to the ace. Even though they didn't want to do the wave, they wanted to respect the ace, you know? It's just pure emotion.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you mentioned, pure emotion. It's like you said, ultimate respect. I think is the best way, definitely the best way to put it. Ultimate respect, and like you said, nobody really does it. I think nobody does it like him, but I think again, he's a one of a kind. He was like I said, the the greatest wrestler of the last 20, 30 years in Japan. So he definitely got a send off that was very fitting and one that he earned. But I also believe too, the very interesting thing is like many years ago, he said in a promo that he has never been tired a day in his life. And the first thing he said in the press
Yeah,
conference, one of
I've
the first
got
things
that. Yeah.
he said was that he's tired as hell, pretty much. Nah, so like I just love that. I love that he was finally able to rest, and I think again, it's like you mentioned, man. It was very symbolic. I think some of those people just had to let it sink in that was really it, what they had just witnessed. And like you mentioned, like yeah, I mean, yeah, they might. We're gonna have to sit in traffic anyway. We're gonna have to sit in traffic anyway. It's 50,000 people here, so let's soak it in. Let's watch everything we can. Let's all cry together and let's just experience this because again, it was nobody like him, and like you said, it's very fitting that you get a send off that is basically unlike anybody's. So yeah, man, this is really cool.
Yeah, and Gina again, not to kind of harp on about what my issues are with WWE right now compared to maybe New Japan, but this was not money grabbing or adverts. It was just a pure connection between a wrestler and the fans. Yeah, and I think that's what I loved about it the most.
Yeah, I think that whole I would have actually originally made fun of Tanahashi for that and maybe called him a narcissist or but I didn't. I found it so special to see, and it's not only connecting Tanahashi with his fans to give him that send off and that goodbye, to see the other wrestlers being the ones to help push him along and be
Mm,
involved in that. I found so much respect in it. It wasn't just crew who stand at the side and help catch wrestlers. It was like, those who have personally worked with Tanahashi in the ring. And I felt like even that was special. So yeah, again, it was a really emotional send off. And I don't want to compare everybody's wrestling retirement stories, but even I even was watching this and I was like, what, none of the other legends of WWE could have come back and, been there to shake John's hand. It was just obviously the current roster that was there. And it made me think, oh well, it might have been nice for others to turn up and have given John that send off or some others. But yeah, it just felt special. And again, I don't know if it's, the culture of Japan and the way that they do things, but it just felt so respectful. And yeah, I think the fans all felt very content with the send off for him.
yeah, I'm sure people that watch John Cena match and then watch this one like, why aren't Suji coming out and just put the belts on him to end things? Like that's what they do, isn't it? But we shall see. All right, we before we wrap up, obviously, with the ratings and everything like, we've got backstage comments. Now, obviously, this was a little bit long because of Wrestle Kingdom, but I always find it interesting, and they set their kind of targets out for the rest of the year. And ELP talks about his time in England and being helped by Chris in 2016. He also said that they both had same problems, personally, and they are the one bald buddies. So again, it just shows you what each man, had to go through to get to that match at Wrestle Kingdom. Obviously, the Knockout Bros were not happy. Gina, what did you think of Tekla showing up? I mean, I mentioned earlier she was with Clark and she was in the backstage comments just saying hello, and I was just like, that's a bit odd. Like maybe just to make Clark happy.
This threw me off because I had no idea that she was even. I mean, is she dating him?
Yeah, I think they're
Oh,
they're together. Or I don't want to say
okay.
married because
Yeah, I
but
didn't even know that. So when she was there, I was like, "What's this bitch doing?" But it was nice and it was something familiar again, from me watching AEW. So I did like seeing her there and it did make me perk up and be like, wait, why is she here? Who's she with? Like that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So again, I think if you're more of an AEW fan watching New Japan for a fresh time, I think it might be nice for those seeing another familiar face pop up.
Without a doubt. Shooter Umino promised he would be wearing gold in 2026, but when Oleg took the blame, and to be fair, he was pinned. It was quite funny. The belt didn't fit around Hartley's waist. So I'm not saying maybe they just need to get extenders or something like that. Zach said it was all about the team and TMDK, and he wants his boys to hold gold. He's going to stop the knockout cunts. I do love Zach. He's great. Kamatani was annoyed, but she's still the MVP. Suri has been working for this moment for 18 years. Who just showed the journey the women went on to be at Wrestle Kingdom. Takahashi wasn't happy he was pinned by the lame one. Andrade says the Empire is the best group in Japan, and Callum Newman said he told everyone. I suppose he did. Doki was upset at being interrupted, and he said, this is what I loved about him. He said, ruining the great sport with shenanigans. Yes, because House of Torture never do that. He says he ain't scared of Despy, but then he should be, as Despy chased him away. Ishimura and Robbie X want a junior tag match as well, and so do the Ichiban Sweet Boys. Kukai was also there as well. For Aaron Wolf, he says the battle starts now. He wants to hone his skills, and it was amazing experience. He also said he's nicking the high fly flow. I mean, Monty, is that allowed? I mean, I know it's Tanahashi's last match, but can you just take a move like that?
I mean, I guess I would assume he asked permission, but yeah, I mean, oh man, you thought they was loud when he did a thought they was loud when he did a judo throw. Imagine if he started finishing with the high fly flow. Yeah, no. I don't know. Usually, from what I understand, because he went, Tanahashi also gave the high fly flow to a guy in Noah. So you know what? Maybe since he's done, it's just you know what I mean. You know what?
He's like the
Just do what you
16th
want to do.
person to get the high
Right,
fly flow. Yeah.
right. Do what you want to do, guy. Yeah, do what you want to do. Next thing you
Uh,
know, in Japan, it'll be Japan's sweet chin music will be the high fly flow. Just a bunch of Japanese wrestlers doing frog splash and having poor knees.
It's true. The Young Lions' new finisher. Takeshita said he's not finished yet. He says Suji is strong because he beat him. He also said the red band on his arm is a tribute to a wrestler who wanted to be there but couldn't. I mean, obviously Nakamura, but Gina, still, it's class from Takeshita to do that. He didn't need to do it, and at least Nakamura was there in some part.
Yeah, when I found that out, there was a little part of me that even just appreciated that, and it was quite shocking that Takeshita was willing to do that. Probably because seen him so much in a heel capacity, we just didn't expect it. But still, regardless, it was still nice to know that in some way, in some capacity, Nakamura was
Yeah.
there. I'm just
And
still, I'm bitter that he couldn't actually be there.
yeah. And another comment that I was quite surprised about. I mean, Okada said he turned down the offer to retire Tanahashi once. He said it's great to be back and how great Tanahashi is. And he said he doesn't think he could sell out the dome in his retirement match. Now, Monty, again, this is an argument to say just how special again Tanahashi is. If Okada, everybody knows kind of Okada thinks he wouldn't be able to sell out. I mean, would he? I mean, again, is that even a question, or is he just being modest?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of I think it's a little bit of modesty. I mean, it kind of depends. I do believe that Okada at his height have kind of been selling out is probably what he meant. I think the specifics of selling it out in a crowd that big, I do believe it'll be a huge deal, and I do believe it can be sold out. And maybe he is being a little bit modest, or he may be underestimating his own impact and his own fame. But I do also understand also why he believed that, because Tanahashi, again, like I said, he carried this company during a time where uh, again, they thought it wouldn't be in any New Japan if it wasn't really for him. New Japan wouldn't even live long enough to make an Okada. So maybe he's looking at it through that lens and saying that he can't even scratch that surface. Like you said, being more modest. And like you could, if you want to nitpick Okada's run, you'd be like, well, Okada was on top, but he also was on top with Naito. He also was on top with Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay. Like if you look at his era, he had great talent, obviously along with Tanahashi, to kind of also be on top with. So maybe you can, if you want to pick it apart, you can look at it that way. But I think for the most part, he's being, I don't want to say ridiculous, because that's his opinion. His opinion, but yeah, I don't necessarily agree with him at all. In my opinion, I think he will be able to sell it out just fine, most likely, because he is, if not, I don't want to say he's definitely not more important, but when you think about this era, like why do you think I'm annoyed with him for leaving? Like he is that important, and I do think the people of Japan still appreciate and love him. He did play a part in selling this out now, in my opinion. So yeah, I think he's underrating a little bit of his impact, but I understand what he probably why he's saying it.
Yeah, about that. And then Tanahashi took some questions. He said a Pat Dome was his dream. He knew there would be a ceremony, but he wasn't sure who the wrestlers would be. And he's truly grateful. He said the door is always open to Naito. And he said the man who's never tired finally is. And again, even at that point, I'm like, fuck me, man. I didn't think that would get to me, but even he's saying like, I won't have another chance to say I'm tired. 'Cause that's his gimmick, you know. He's never been tired. Yeah, as the ace character, and he was asked finally why did he never leave? You know, when people like Nakamura, Okada talked about Osprey and Jay White and everybody else, and he says he loves New Japan Pro Wrestling, and that was it. And Gina, when a guy's been that loyal to a company, irrespective of anything else, it's just special, you know. We might not see a guy like this ever again, you know.
Definitely. I mean, times are changing, people are evolving, cultures are evolving, things like that. We're seeing a new era come in. This is one of the last times we're ever going to truly see a wrestler like Tanahashi. So it just makes it feel even more of a special moment to say goodbye, you know?
Yeah, it really is. So overall, then for the whole show, the match, I think it would be fair to say the main event is all our matches. But Monty, I'll start with you. Who's your MVP? Again, might be an easy, easy choice. And what's your rating out of 10?
Yeah, it's like you mentioned. My MVP is obviously Hiroshi Tanahashi. My last time. It's still kind of sinking in. It's gonna be one of my last times. If I'm not reminiscing and just looking at old memories, it's gonna be my last time watching them. I mean, after this show, he did the unthinkable and cut the luscious hair. So
Mm.
I know he won't be coming back because he looks like a regular Japanese civilian now. But yeah, man, he's definitely MVP. Special night. Never forget it. It was all about Tanahashi. So yeah, man, that definitely got to go to him. Overall, man, though, because the two matches in Aaron Wolf's debut, in my opinion, were so strong, I still kind of end up with like a 7.25, maybe 7.5. But the first chunk of this show, well, you know what? I give it 7.5 because of the ladies too. So yeah, the ladies match, Aaron Wolf match, and then of course Suji Takeshita, and of course the main event. But in my opinion, this wasn't really a Wrestle Kingdom other than that. And they're very lucky that probably the greatest of all time retired, and we have a new world champion to kind of look forward to, because I really do think they missed some opportunities, in my opinion, with the way they booked this show. I think you could have showcased a lot of this other young talent and maybe hooked fans who don't watch all the time to a newer guy who they'll see on the next new beginning card or whatever. You know what I mean? So it would have been, in my opinion, I think they missed the opportunity, but overall, I give it like a 7.5, because I still think it's that last part of the show, and outside of some moments and good matches, I do think it was quality. But for the biggest show of the year, they could have gave me a much better card than they gave me. But I mean, it was Tanahashi. It was all about Tanahashi. So part of me is like, I can still appreciate what we got out of it, because again, it was still, we got one of the greatest send offs you could possibly get to a legendary career.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, we talk about obviously matches the main event. Who's your MVP and what's your score?
Um, yeah, I think obviously the main event, Tanahashi Okada, is my match of the night. But so I'll give my MVPs. I'm gonna have to give it to both Suji and Takeshita, because I just thought that they put on a 5-star match and really deserve a shout out. But the two ladies, they also held down the fort, and I thought they did well. Um, Overall rating, I'm gonna give it an 8. I think an 8 is good.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, there was two great main events, weren't there? The undercard was all right. Will this bring new fans in? We hope so. I'm going to give it a 9 because, again, it was just pure emotion. And I think it will be an event, especially that main event, will be talked about for years to come. That is the standard set now for retirement, I feel. And if you can reach that level, then you've truly made it. But still, really, really enjoyable. So finally, before we go, Monty, what are your thoughts on New Japan? We've just had Wrestle Kingdom, but again, Tanahashi may be gone, but New Japan has to kick on now for the rest of 2026. What are your thoughts?
Good luck. Good luck to it. Good luck to it, man. My stocks as far as New Japan goes is on the way down at this point. Like I've lost a lot of what I genuinely enjoyed. I'm trying my best not to turn on the product, because losing a guy like Evil, losing the Sonatas, losing basically my entire favorite faction, and then
Yep.
like
Yeah, you've been hit hard, man. I'm not going to lie. I
and,
think we fucked you a
and
little bit.
and then the Bullet Club itself is pretty much dead now, because they're joining up with Suji. So to kind of go to join to make up the Unbound thing. So Bullet Club, another thing that I watched grow, and from all the way from Finn or Prince David, Finn Balor, way back in 2013 to where we are now. Great run. I probably lasted a lot longer than it needed to, but yeah, man, it's tough. It's gonna be tough sledding, but I'm not gonna act like I'm all the way down. I think Suji is a great leader. We changing the belt back to the OG look to it, and Suji seems like he's very very motivated to lead us forward. So I do think at the end of the day, New Japan has a chance to still have a good year and still be in a good place overall. But yeah, the guy who kind of came in to liken New Japan in this latest era, to watch a lot of the people that you like either go to AEW or retire or go do other things is tough. It's really tough, and some of those guys in WWE too. I'm not trying to just blame AEW, because it's not them. It's not just them. Obviously, it's a entire systematic thing also tied to this too. So we'll see. Even Suji kind of highlighted that in the future he hopes that they figure out whatever it is that's causing them to kind of lose talent. Even Suji kind of acknowledged that. That's the reason why I said the way he talked, you can tell Suji cares about the product and cares about New Japan. So I think we couldn't ask for a better leader when it comes to this new generation. But I'm excited to see what happens, man. What is this gonna do for the shoulders? What is this gonna do for Ren Narita? What is this gonna do for Oil and some of these other guys? Is this gonna light a fire of some of these newer faces to where I don't have to deal with Jake Lee being my number one contender.
And on that happy note, we will leave it there. We'll catch up with New Japan in a couple of months' time. I think New Japan Cup, I think, then will be after that when we do a little bit of a roundup. But that is it for now. Don't forget, we're across all social media, X at the WNR Podcast, I'm at the WNR Pod James, and you can find the entire WNR team on the banner. Monty, where can people find and follow you?
You can no longer find me at the House of Torture, and it seems to be under construction, and I'm leaving. And you can find me at my Monty Pod, and probably somewhere hating on Jake Lee once again.
Gina?
You can find me on Twitch and X at Purple Pain.
Dublin also on Facebook and Instagram. Send us an email to Podcast at gmail.com and YouTube, the Dublin Podcast. We're celebrating 10 years of the WNR with shorts, universe mode, and clips from any event we go to. And the podcast is live on YouTube, also on SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode, I think we'll do NXT update next, just to finish the year. Otherwise, I'll get shit really confused, and we'll do the Rumble in 2 weeks. But I'll work it out. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the mind of Monty. See, Monty wasn't too bad in the end, was it? Didn't get too angry.
I'm literally mourning. So, yes, this is horrible. I hate you, James.
And of course, the genius of Gina. Gina, thanks for keeping me company with Monty today.
No problem. Thank you too for getting me through this Wrestle Kingdom pod.
Yeah, well, that is it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.